Hi, I'm Wendy.
I'm Chris.
We're Meeple Overboard.
And this is our monthly Ketchup. So welcome to the monthly Ketchup. This is going to be a new video series that we're starting, monthly of course. We're going to be talking more casually, more relaxed, and we're going to be talking about some of those things that we don't always in the podcasts, right? A lot of podcasters do that kind of get to know you, warm up time and stuff, and because we stick to our 30-minute format, maybe we don't always have all of that. So this is a good time where you can kind of hang out with us a little more casual, a little more personal.
Yeah, and so what we're going to have in this segment is kind of the good of our month, the bad of our month, and the noteworthy. So basically the highlights, kind of like my highlights right here. I just put red in my hair this month, and you guys are one of the first to know about it.
Whoa.
Pretty exciting.
Yep. Not even my dog knows about it. We don't have dogs.
Chris is allergic to dogs.
Deathly allergic to dogs.
Well, if you stop breathing, that pretty much leads to death. So I think if we owned a dog, it would eventually lead to your death.
Yes, this is true. So, you're not here to talk about dogs. You're here to talk with us about games, exciting things that we're looking forward to, and perhaps even some announcements. So, we just announced in our last episode that we're going to be starting a Patreon drive.
Which we're super excited about.
We are. So a Patreon drive, if you're not familiar, a Patreon in general is a crowdfunding platform where people can donate a little bit on a monthly recurring basis, and it helps people like us create more content, improve the quality of the content that we're making, and one of our goals is to improve our video output. So this show is going to become a patron gift. So in the future, if you are a donor or if you are a patron to our Patreon account, then you'll get future episodes of the Monthly Ketchup. So this is a way to introduce the series and also give you a flavor of
Ketchup
flavor of what you're going to get. So we hope that you enjoy. We hope that's an exciting announcement. And yeah, why don't we jump into the highlights?
Let's do it. So one of our favorite games of this month was Raiders of the North Sea, and we just reviewed this. So check that one out. But we are just really excited. So Raiders of the North Sea, what's so fascinating about it is that the general worker placement mechanism of it is where you place a worker and you take an action, and then you pick up a worker and you take an action. And so everyone shares all the workers, but they're different colors, and depending on the color depends on what you get to do. And I just think that it's really fascinating what it does, like having that whole system together. And it was just a lot of fun. We played it like 4 or 5 times in a month.
Yeah.
We don't even own it, and we've played it 4 or 5 times in a month.
So when we go to Meepleville, our local board game cafe, that's, we want to try a variety of games. They have tons of hot new games, and still I look over there and I'm like, I want to play Raiders. So that's definitely been the #1 highlight, I think, of our month. We like worker placement a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think it's safe to say that this one does something cool and clever and unique, right? I like Feast for Odin, Viking-themed worker placement game that has insane huge amounts of spots.
Right.
This one's not that. This one's more straightforward, but it still is Viking.
And it's nowhere near as long. And what's funny is when we first played it the first couple times, I thought, oh, this is going to be long. This is going to be a 2.5-hour game. And it just wasn't.
No, we can breeze through it with 2 players too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much I like about it. Go listen to our review, because that one is one we already reviewed. We're not going to talk about the nitty gritty, but I can't highlight how much I like that. And there's 2 expansions to it that we haven't gotten to try yet. So,
though, what was the one that we ran into at Meepleville as well that I thought was an expansion for it?
Oh, shipwrights? Yeah. Or explorers. There's 2 other games in the Of the North Sea trilogy, and they each have expansions, and there's a mega expansion where you play a campaign of all 3 of the games. They went so, I was gonna say overboard, but we're overboard. I mean, they went very full with this whole that thing, and the same designer and same company are going to make a new trilogy of games too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Of the West Kingdom.
Well, and it's the same artwork style, so it's the same Vikings that you're looking at, and it just, I don't know, the box looked the same. So I bet it's going to be really confusing for people that are looking to purchase one game. I hope nobody accidentally purchases the wrong game.
Yeah, Raiders of the North Sea is the worker placement one. I don't even know what Shipwrights is, and Explorers of the North Sea is like a tile placement, move around, pick up and deliver kind of one. So,
interesting.
So Raiders is definitely the one I was most interested going into, and it didn't disappoint. We haven't tried the other two. We'll see. But we'll probably just play Raiders again. So
Probably. So that was our greatest of the month. Our tank of the month was actually Dark Moon. We are not big secret role kind of people, which is funny because, what is the name of the game that I love? Just lost it.
All of the games. You love all of the games. No, you were thinking of
Dead of Winter.
Wow. Jinx, you want me to kiss?
Oh. So Dead of Winter is one of my favorite. In fact, it is my number one currently. And it's funny because that's a hidden role game, but there's so many reasons why I like that one and I don't like most other hidden role games. But Dark Moon was just kind of a tank for us.
I've heard of Dark Moon a lot. It is kind of like a polished up version of something called BSG Express. And BSG may or may not legally differentiatedly stand for Battlestar Galactica. So it's supposed
I thought
to
it
be,
was like BS, like lying to each other.
Oh, okay. BSG? No. So Stronghold Games published this game, and it's supposed to be really interesting, and we'd heard a lot of good stuff about it. But just the way that the trader people, like we played like a 7-player game, and there's like 3 traders, and I just felt like it wasn't as interesting. Like the dice mechanism that drives it, you could be a good guy and you could like put out bad stuff constantly on all of your turns, especially if you roll poorly.
Yeah.
So it didn't give enough information, and the game itself wasn't as interesting. Like Dead of Winter is like such an interesting game. We play 2-player fairly often,
and we don't play with the Betrayer when we play the 2-player games.
Right. You can't. I don't think you're sitting there like, well, I'm not.
We just put it on hard mode, and then that's sufficient. So.
And Dead of Winter is just like at its core like a really interesting game, and Dark Moon at its core really wasn't for us. So maybe if you enjoy a lot of those like team versus team, social deduction style games, like I'm kind of burnt out on them. I played Secret Hitler so many times, and Good Cop Bad Cop is probably one of my other favorite ones, and Dark Moon just wasn't up there for me.
It didn't do it for you, and it didn't do it for me. So that was our tank for the month.
Yeah, too bad. Sorry, but we tend to like the other stuff Stronghold does, but this one, brr.
So sad.
So some other notable highlights from the month. One of them, this one's actually kind of a low light, was we got to try a game called Love Letter Premium Edition.
Doesn't that mean it's supposed to be better?
So much better, so much more, twice as much of Love Letter in a box with gigantic cards.
Oh my goodness. They were like this big.
That's that's an odd way to show dimension. They were big. They were pretty big. They were almost just like cardboard slats, you know?
Yeah, they were huge.
They were huge. They had these sleeves that, because it was a Meepleville copy, like they were pretty decrepit sleeves.
Because they were not like the premium sleeves. They were like the just okay sleeves.
Yeah, so I think that wasn't a great first impression. And then we played it, and we played 5 of us. Love Letter Premium is supposed to play up to 8 people, which just means that there's too many cards.
We should have just played 2 games of Love Letter. Like, I think that would have been more fun.
Right. And the funniest part was this, our poor friend Daniel, we were playing 5-player Love Letter, but really we were only playing 4-player. Because before he took a single turn, like every single round, he was eliminated. It was just weird. It was like, I'm just going to guess that you have a 5. And he's like, okay.
I have a 5.
Well, we have to compare hands with someone. Okay,
He always has the crappy cards.
So we're playing. So like Love Letter Premium just has twice as many cards, like doubles of like everything or something.
And it has a number 9, which is weird. But the number 9 does not win highest card. I think that's the strangest thing. Like if you're comparing hands at the end, or if you're comparing them with the.
I think
Bane.
if you're. So we played Love Letter Batman. That's kind of our favorite.
That's the one we know. So I'm like, oh.
So the number 3 is Bane in Love Letter Batman. That's where you compare hand size, and the person with a smaller hand gets out.
Right.
And so it's interesting. Like the things I would say good about Love Letter Premium is that there are some interesting twists on cards. Like one of them, you compare hand sizes, and the person with the bigger hand is out. But that doesn't make up for the fact that this game took like 3 times as long as it needed to. regular love letter, I think, is better.
Yeah, I think so. We especially like Batman Love Letter because you get a point for guessing if someone is, like, guessing correctly what someone's number is, and then you get a point for winning at the end. And so it goes a little quicker. It also makes it more useful to guess people because you're like, oh, this is really worth it. If I can really figure this out, it's more than just, oh, there's another person gone from the game. So we really, really like Batman Love Letter.
And we really, really, really disliked Love Letter Premium. So I don't really recommend that one. But I got to play one called Lovecraft Letter, right? So as if Batman Love Letter weren't already a weird enough theme, let's put Cthulhu in Love Letter, right?
Because he's full of love. Isn't he like the warm and fuzzy monster?
Basically,
Pretty sure that's what all those little tentacle things are for, is just to caress your face while he kisses you.
They're feelers.
Oh,
he
that sounds so
feels your
disgusting.
love.
Oh.
Feelers.
Ugh.
Yeah, okay, I love you. So, Lovecraft Letter was surprisingly good, right? Married with Board Games. They were an awesome reviewer. They're on the Dice Tower Network. They, in their review, said so much good about it, and I was like, really? And then I played it, and I think that it was everything that Love Letter Premium kind of tried to be. Lovecraft Letter goes up to 6 players, and there's more cards, and there's more clever twists on things, but it uses an insanity mechanism, and so it's a bigger risk to be insane, but you get more powerful actions if you are, and just all the things that we disliked about Love Letter Premium, I feel like just they kind of did it, but it worked so much better.
So it didn't bog it down, but it gave you a little bit more variety?
Yeah, exactly. There were more ways that, like, I think the biggest problem I had with Love Letter Premium was, like, the deck was just so thick.
Right. It was weird that you had literally double of everything. Like, they even doubled the cards. It just was...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, shuffling those with the sleeves and the giant cards. They're just getting bigger.
Was this big! But yeah.
They're just getting bigger.
But like Lovecraft Letter had a way that, like, if you're insane, you also have to flip over a card at the start of each round, and so you're getting through the deck quicker. You might get eliminated from that. It's riskier. Just stuff that I thought was just way better. So Lovecraft Letter, check it out. Check that one out.
There you go. So another interesting game that we actually played this month was Fabled Fruit. So it is one of the games in the Fable system, and the way that this Fable system, I guess, works is, well, at least with this game, it's a worker placement, and so there are cards, and each one of the worker placement spots is a stack of cards with all the same things. There's like 10 of them out, and as you buy up all the cards, new cards come out, and so new worker placement spots, so more actions come out, and so it just changes throughout the game. And so maybe you buy up cards 2 and cards 4, and so now you've got like 11 and 12 in different spots, and so it's just interesting the way that it works.
Yeah, so the point of the game is to buy them, and then all of a sudden they're changing, and so the reason it's called the Fable system is because then they're empty and there's new ones out, and that's kind of weird. And then when you end the game, you pack them all up, right? All the cards that are out. Next time that you start the game, you just deal it exactly as it was, and you just keep going through this ridiculously gigantic deck of cards.
Right, so we played 3 games in a row, and we didn't have to do anything to reset up for the next games. We just started where we ended. We shuffled the fruit deck, and that was it.
Right.
So
right. The fruit is like the different currencies that you get. And so, yeah, there's the few spots that you can go to, and it's weird because they change. And so this is probably one of the complaints that we had was you buy up all the 5s, and so then you're going to shift over the 6 over to where it was, because you're revealing new stuff.
And so you just kind of lose track of where things are. I know that I had a big issue with that, and I had not a very good experience with the game.
So was this a highlight or a low light of the month?
This would definitely be a low light of the month for me, but I think it was fine for you because
it was okay.
You won all of them. It was just, I don't know. I don't think I was having a good lucky day that day. I don't know
what it was. Yeah, and I honestly wouldn't play Fabled Fruit again with 2 people because I think that it was a little bit mean. There's so you place your little animal meeple, your animeeple onto this ability onto this thing, and it's like steal 2 cards from the person with the most cards, and I'm like,
well, there's one person with the most cards.
Oh, that's you. But then there's another spot that's like, give them a banana and steal 2 of their cards. Like, choose a player, and I'm like, I choose you. So it was weird that there were so many spots that like targeted a person that would make sense in like a 3 or 4 player game. You're like, who's in the lead? Let's target them. But in a 2-player game, you're just like, give me your money, pal. Give me your fruits.
Obviously, like, it went both ways. So I attacked Chris just as much as he attacked me. But I struggled. So I have like a 3-game thing that when I'm failing and sucking at a game, if it's relatively short and we can play it a few times in an evening, I'll try it 3 times. And if I lose all 3 times, I'm done. Like, move on. We'll play a different game now.
It's not a bad system. And yeah, we played through all 3, and that was enough to get a flavor of the game. A flavor? Huh?
Oh.
Flavor of the fruit? What? Wow.
So we were actually making fruit-flavored drinks in the game?
You collect different fruits, and then you have to turn in specific combinations, and that's how you buy the cards. And it's like a race to whoever gets the most, a certain number of cards. It's a good game. I like it, but I don't think I ever want to play it again with 2. I just don't think that it's as interesting. But I love the Fable idea. I love the fact that it's going to change, kind of like perhaps a legacy game or something like Unto, therefore quite
minus the
unsuchness.
Storyline.
Minus the storyline.
There's just making fruit drinks.
Yep. Just making fruit drinks.
Fancy.
Yep.
Yeah, but I did have a highlight for the Fable game though.
Ooh,
I really liked one of the character pawns or meeples or whatever was a super depressed looking fat penguin, and I just thought that was adorable.
He kind of looked like me. He had a big old pot belly that hung past his belt line, and
that's why I thought he was adorable. Are you depressed? No.
I'm at my busiest time at work right now. So January was like the worst month of my work life that I've had, and so we played a lot less games because of it. We still managed to play a lot of good games, which is nice, and so that was definitely a low light for me, which is showing up at work at like 9 in the morning and then showing up at home after 9 o'clock at night. So didn't love that, and our gaming kind of tanked because of it. Yeah. But we still release an episode of the podcast every week throughout this busy season, and that's been an important goal of ours. But that depressed penguin was me at that point. I was like, ah.
You're just like, oh, it's my totem or whatever.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Spirit animal? There you go.
Yeah.
Here's your spirit animal. Chris likes penguins anyways.
Chris, what is your spirit animal? That really fat, depressed penguin from Fabled Fruit, who looked like the depressed robot from
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll blah, 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 blah. I love that guy. So that's what this penguin reminded me of. But
so Fabled Fruit, not a bad game.
Not a bad game.
Better
wouldn't play
with
it again with 2.
3 or 4. I'm sure it's better with 3 or 4.
I would enjoy going through it, because like when you unbox the game, there's like 3 packets of cards that are like this thick, and we didn't even make it past the first packet in 3 games through. So there's a lot of gameplay in there.
Yeah.
But onto a game that was a highlight for me was definitely playing Clank.
I still didn't do well at that game either.
We played it first in December. We played it like 2 more times, I think, in January. I really like Clank. It's funny because deck building games is potentially one of my favorite genres, one of my favorite styles of games. But there's actually a lot of deck building games that we're not really wild about.
Yeah, so we really love Dominion. Like, Dominion is the highlight that we hold everything to. In fact, it's Chris's #1 game overall.
#1.
Right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And then we really love the DC deck building game, especially with the co-op version. Because that helps get rid of some of the issues that I have with a lot of deck building games, that they have like a lineup. So you'll have 4, 5, 6 cards or whatever that flip over and you choose from that. And what I struggle with, and I saw this with Clank as well, was that sometimes it gets watery. If there's like cheap cards, watered down. Watery. But if there's just like cheap cards that are in there and nobody wants to buy them because nobody wants them in their deck because we're all smarter than that, they just stay there. And so nobody wants to buy any cards, and it just, I don't know.
Or just like the right cards don't get revealed on Wendy's
your turn.
There's a card in there, I think that it's called the Boots of Chris always gets them and moves around the board a bunch, and Wendy's not allowed to buy them. It's kind of a long name for a card, but
You know, they make it really, really tiny, like the Dominion writing.
So in the last 2 games of Clank that we played, I have purchased like 4 or 5 of them over the 2 games, right? Like so I bought 2 of them in one game and maybe 3 in the other. I don't remember, 2 and 2 or something. And Wendy got 0 of them. So the thing with Clank is that movement around the board is like one of the most important currencies. There's the purchase cards currency, there's the fight monsters currency, and there's movement.
So you're like going into the basement of a castle underground and you're trying to steal hidden treasures before the dragon awakes and eats you.
And so if you don't have movement, like if you don't get those big movement cards at all, then you're just going to be hosed. And so the last game we called it like halfway through because neither one of us was having fun.
Because Chris was like, oh, I've got everything I want and I'm about ready to leave. And I'm like, I just made it past the doors. Like my little like crutch or cane or whatever.
You're like
wobbling in.
You're like Tiny Tim and I'm like
stop and take breaks every like 2 seconds.
You're like Tiny Tim with his crutch and I'm like riding on my Harley basically, just like oh, I got 2 sweet treasures, a backpack, a couple of monkey idols. Like, what do you got?
Thanks, Flash.
Oh, polio? That sucks.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, we called that game because like neither one of us was having fun.
I want to like it. I really do want to like it. It's just... So, I've played it twice. Chris has played it 3 times, I think. And I just... Yeah, the 2 times I played it, it just didn't... I didn't have the luck of the draw, and I didn't... I know the first time I didn't know that the... movement was such an important currency. So it's tough. It also has multiple currencies, which is another issue I have with a lot of deck building games.
Don't like that in Ascension, don't like that in Legendary. Yeah, there's a lot of
I think part of it is just because our first 2 deck building games were Dominion and then DC deck building. And so I think that's part of it. We've used the Alchemy expansion in Dominion, and we don't like it. It's the only expansion we don't like because of the, the
it adds a second currency. And I feel like that one's not done so well. Whereas I feel like for me, the reason Clank is a game that I like a lot is because somewhere between those having like 3 currencies, like 3 different resources that you need, it balances better. And I think, right, in most deck building games where there's a lineup that's rotating of cards, there's like a few cards that are permanent, like you can always buy them. They're available. I feel like the ones in Clank are actually really good. So when I'm like, I don't want to buy any of those ones, I'll buy this movement one. It's a movement and purchase. Or I'll buy this fight and purchase power card. And I feel like Clank does it really well with that a lot of other deck builders that have that rotating lineup I'm not as wild about. So this is an interesting one. We will see.
And we definitely have differing opinions on that, but yeah, it's interesting.
So highlight for me, not so highlight for Wendy.
No, but there is an expansion coming out, or a second version, or what are we going to call it?
It's an expansion to the original one.
Okay.
A second version already came out called Clank in Space. We'll see, but...
So this one is a pyramid expansion. Which, how do you fit a pyramid on a square board?
You rotate it 45 degrees.
What? Like this?
So, if you haven't watched the Renegade Society radio show, Renegade has a live YouTube show where Scott Gaeta, the president, and Sarah Erickson, the marketing director, like live chat, and there are people there that are also like chatting in the YouTube comments and stuff. Really cool show. You get to learn a little bit more about the inside workings of the company and stuff, and I like that type of stuff. I'm a business guy, so I like the business side of things, but also I like knowing about what new cool games are going to come out, and Renegade really impresses me, so go watch that if you haven't. And that's where they announce some of that, like the pyramid stuff. So there'll still be like the top pyramid like in Clank, and then the bottom one where you have to dive under and get the treasure and stuff. So
if you want to join a pyramid scheme, you should go on to that.
Exactly. Pyramid schemes.
It's my goal in life.
Are the best. Clothes
and lipstick and books.
Jam or like gel nail strips.
Yeah.
And yep.
Oils.
Yeah.
All those great things.
Oh, love pyramid schemes. They're my favorite. You heard it here first, folks. If you're not a pyramid scheme, don't even talk with us.
Don't listen to Chris.
So Clank was kind of a split one, but this next game I think was a highlight for both of us, right? The Codenames Duet.
And in fact, I shined on this one. You guys may think that I just suck at playing games this month. But I shined. So Codenames Duet, we both have, like, we share a set of words, but we both have different words we're trying to get each other to guess. And so it's very similar to Codenames, same kind of idea of a word and a number. And so I gave a clue, and my number was 5. It was the very first clue of the night, and Chris got all 5 correct. It was so exciting.
It was so good. And so then it was my turn. I'm like building up all of this adrenaline, and I give like a 2-word hint just because like we're in good shape. And Wendy totally guesses the assassin.
Game over.
Because I forgot to factor in that my clue might lead Wendy directly to the assassin. So, you know, the good thing about Codenames is you flip over all the words and you have a new setup, and we played that setup.
And it was not a good setup.
It was the worst. It was so hard.
And that's just the thing with Codenames is sometimes everything fits together really well, and sometimes everything doesn't fit together, or everything fits with the assassin.
Yeah. And so this was one of those games. And so despite the fact that we had 2 just like pretty rough games all in a row, we walked away really liking it. I like the cooperative aspect of it. If I could like transmute our copy of Codenames into Codenames Duet, like,
we would do it hands down.
I would do it in a heartbeat, right? Because one, like everybody and their dog, that I hate because I'm allergic to dogs, everybody and their dog owns Codenames, and 2, Codenames Duet works better for us at 2 players, and it can also work, I think, up to 2 and 2 on a team, maybe 3 and 3 on a team. So,
or even 2 to 1. Like you could work it out. And we don't have like huge parties, and I feel like regular Codenames isn't even meant for like 12 people anyways. Like 6 people on a team is just too many people, in my opinion. So
I think so. So yeah, if we could get Codenames Duet, like that's one to think about, because we really like it. I like that 2-sided aspect. We're both giving each other clues, and it has a few aspects to it that just make it more fun than just playing Codenames at each other. Like, it really feels like a cooperative experience. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Definitely a highlight.
Definitely gets a thumbs up.
Fun story about Codenames Duet actually is that this was a fan-made variant to the game, and CGE was they learned about it. I don't know the exact story, right? But it was a fan-made variant, and I don't know if he submitted to CGE or if they kind of reached out, but they said like, hey, let's like produce this, let's tighten it up a little bit, and then we'll publish it. And so you see Vlad Chvátil, whatever his name is, right? But you also see this other guy's name on there. So if you see Codenames Duet, that second name is the guy who came up with the idea, basically building off of Codenames. So
that's cool.
Just kind of a cool story. Kind of a cool thing.
That's awesome. So speaking of cool things, and we're not talking about our weather right now because it hit 76 this week.
I thought you were talking about me.
Oh.
Hey, cool.
He's cool. No, the weather is kind of ridiculous. It was January and it was in the 70s. And we've had an especially warm year. Like, normally it's not very cold, but it's especially warm this year.
Yeah.
We had to get our AC fixed yesterday.
I forget that people in like the East Coast and stuff are like, oh, there's like a ice storm going on. And I'm like, what? It's like almost 80 degrees in Las Vegas.
My flowers are still alive from last spring. Like, that's how just beautiful it's been. Like, they almost died in the summer, and then they sprung back to life during the fall. Because that's when you spring back to life, right?
So, since Las Vegas is so unusually warm and there's like no signs of snow anywhere, that's the perfect place for a guy named Snowboard Gamer to come down to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we got to meet Ben from Snowboard Gamer. He came down for CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show, and he also wanted to hang out with us because we're so cool.
And it was really cool because, when we were teenagers and kids and we were first like IMing and stuff, we would never meet anybody online. Like, that was a creepy, weird thing to do. But it's kind of cool now that Ben was just like, hey, you guys are legit. You have a podcast. You're probably not creepy people.
Ooh, probably not creepy.
There you go. We are actually a man and a woman, as our videos show.
This is
possibly
true. Yeah.
So anyways, he just asked us if we wanted to meet at Meepleville on a Wednesday, and we made it work out, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got to play a few games with him. He brought Las Vegas, the Ravensburger game. We bought the Vegas dice game, the Target edition of it. And so it was fun. We're playing with him, and he's like, I'm playing Las Vegas, in Las Vegas. Woo! We're like, yeah, this is really cool because it makes me feel awesome.
We always play Las Vegas in Las Vegas. It's kind of not a thing for us.
Always, yes. It's a point of pride for me. I'm happy that there's like a good game with the Las Vegas name on it.
That's true. There's a lot of Las Vegas games that are not good.
Take that, Des Moines, Iowa. That's where the Board Boys are from. They're a cool podcast.
Boys. That makes sense.
Yeah, and there's definitely not a game called Des Moines, out there, like some Euro game.
It's probably some Americanized farming game.
I'm going to say this, and now Uwe Rosenberg's next big farming simulator is going to be like, Des Moines.
It kind of sounds like a non-American name, right?
Yeah, is it French? Because it looks like Des Moines.
Yeah, probably. It's probably French.
But anyway, let's get back to Ben, snowboard gamer.
Yeah, so we played Las Vegas with him, and then we also played Concordia, which is a game that we've only played one time before, and it was fun. He brought 2 of his cousins, and so there was a group of us playing, and it was a lot of fun to like finally sit down with him, and it's kind of cool because he's like super excited to just talk with us, and so it was a lot of fun. It was
a ton of fun. 5-player Concordia is a little bit long, especially because we were like chatting, getting to know each other all and everything. And so, yeah. But immediately afterwards, Ben went and bought Concordia. He thought it was that fun, and I really like that game. It's interesting that it's someone had heard that like Concordia is kind of like Settlers of Catan because you're building little wooden houses in different regions that produce resources for you sometimes. And I was like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I always thought of it kind of more like Century Spice Road, where you have the hand of cards and you play one and then everyone goes and plays one. Then you play another and you can purchase new cards. And then you eventually take like a rest action type thing where you pick up all the cards that you played. And so you're building up more cards and you're building up more stuff. And so it is like that Century Spice Road thing, but with the map and the generating resources and like positively...
the moving around and
Yeah, and like creating and like that positive interactions where like this region produces, so if I have stuff there, I produce, and if Wendy has stuff there, she produces. So it is kind of like that weird mix of like Catan Century.
Yeah. What's interesting is that we actually played this right before Century Spice Road became available for us to play. And so when Chris was teaching me Century Spice Road, he's like, oh, it's like Concordia. And I was like, oh, I get it. Only easier?
Easier, yeah, way less to it.
Yeah, so a really cool game. We might review it at some point if we play it again a few more times.
Mm-hmm. One of the coolest games I've played.
Like it.
One of my favorite games I've played with the most horrendous cover available.
It's pretty bad. So there's like this picture of this lady, and I always think that she's like selling grapes because she's holding these grapes really awkwardly. And then Chris is always like, no, she's buying like purple silk. And I'm like, oh. Why is she holding grapes?
It's like a bag of coins, but it doesn't look like any bag of coins I've ever seen.
It looks like grapes. That's what it is.
It looks,
so I'm always confused.
It looks like grapes, and it's called Concordia, and so I assume it's about grapes. Concord grapes, grape juice, right? So, yeah. It's about trading silk in the Mediterranean. Who would have thought?
I mean, she's beautiful in her own weird artistic-y way.
I think she looks like a undead vampire lady. The cover is weird.
She has beautiful hair. It's very ringlety and brown and thick and full.
It's like one of those beehive hairs.
Okay, well, I think she's pretty. Chris thinks she looks creepy, and that there's just weird stuff going on in the background that doesn't make sense.
It's a strange cover, and they came out with an expansion called Concordia Salsa.
It's even worse.
Yeah. It's bad. It looks like I could have drawn that cover, but
especially
maybe
because
not.
Salsa's like bright and red and green and like all these cool colors. These are like grays and whites and very, very light browns.
Well, salsa means salt in Latin.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, it's also pretty confusing.
It looks like a salt game. That's how much color there is in the front.
It looks like you do nothing but just like look at piles of salt and go, yes, that is salt. Next.
Okay, so that actually reminds me of how like lack of color Las Vegas has in their dirt. So I lived in Maryland for about 1.5 years, and when I came back, I was shocked at how white our dirt was. Because I remembered it just being the normal, like I was raised here. It was just normal, it was dirt. Like that's the color of dirt. And then I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, that's not dirt. That's like weird light tan, barely anything.
There's 2 things about living in Las Vegas that you don't realize. Like one is that the city's really ugly. If you ever fly into Las Vegas, try and do a night flight. It's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful at night.
There's like
Ugly during the day.
we have one of those big observation wheels, like the London Eye. We have one of those things here. Don't do that during the day. You're just like, oh, cool, like tannish dirt everywhere. So the second thing about living in Las Vegas is you don't realize that we have like the most billboards per capita out of any city imaginable. Like living anywhere else than coming back to Vegas, you're just like, there are billboards everywhere, and
It's
I think
so
they're
intense.
attacking me.
No, literally, people drive billboards around the streets. Like, as if we didn't have enough on the roads. This started probably like 10 years ago.
Maybe, yeah.
I think they do. They have billboards of like naked women driving up and down the street, especially if you're on Las Vegas Boulevard, which is the Strip.
I think that's exclusively where those ones are
allowed to.
So we live in the normal part of Las Vegas where we don't see nudie women all the time every day. So
yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, it's a weird thing as if there's not enough billboards in the world, because every casino has like flashing screens everywhere too.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
so,
we never go to the Strip. It's busy, chaotic.
So meeting Ben, huge, awesome highlight of the month. Playing games with him, teaching him Concordia, playing Las Vegas in Las Vegas. The other cool thing is that CES also brought another fellow to Las Vegas named Jeff Engelstein, and he is a pretty well-known board game designer. The Expanse, Space Cadet Dice Duels. He's come out with a couple of really solid big games, and he just put out on Twitter. He's like, "Hey, anyone want to meet up when I'm in Las Vegas?" And I was like, "Am I allowed to be like, do you want to meet up, Jeff? Like, you're a famous dude. Like, you're actually a famous dude."
Oh, we're famous.
We are. I mean, this proves it. Jeff was like, "Yes, I would like to meet up with you." And so either that means that we're super famous, or that he's just like a nice guy. So it was awesome.
Or both.
Both
is allowed.
It was fun. We just got to chat with him about board game design and his experience with everything. And he does also the Ludology podcast, and he just published a book, actually available on Amazon now, called Game Tech. So he talks about the theory and the thoughts behind game design and stuff, the psychology behind it. Really cool, really awesome experience. I had a lot of fun getting to meet him. So that was another highlight of my January.
Very cool. Very cool. I didn't get to meet him. I was home with a sleeping baby.
Yeah.
Story of my life. I actually I really like being a stay-at-home mom. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. So one last game that we want to highlight for our month of highlights, these beautiful red highlights. Oh, we're not talking about my hair. Was actually
always talking about her hair.
Was actually the expansion, Cities of Splendor. We really enjoyed it. We've played it quite a few times this month, which is kind of fun because we bought it and then we played it a couple times and then we kind of got really busy because Chris has been working 12-hour days. And so we pulled it out, we played it a few times, and Chris mostly won again. I feel like that's been the story of this month, but yeah. I think that you deserve that because you've been really chaotic and hectic.
Well,
so
thank you. My life has been chaotic and hectic. I haven't been. I've been like driving down the street and be like, lanes don't exist anymore.
True. So like it was a lot of fun. We've tried different things. What is the one that we did not try where you like
strongholds
cover up cards? Like you cannot buy this.
Yeah. So in Cities of Splendor, there's 4 expansion modules that you can use any one of them at a time, and they designed them in a way that you kind of can't use multiple at the same time. Mm-hmm. And there's just one that I haven't even bothered playing with. Like, I haven't bothered learning the rules for it, really, and because I know that's not going to be Wendy Knight's type, where you put the stronghold token on a card and you're like, you can't buy that. But on Wendy's turn, she can pull off my thing, or she can put out a stronghold of her own. It just seems like a back and forth. It seems like if you were to play, like, checkers, but there was, like, a move back rule, and you're like, I move forward, you move forward, I move back, you move back, I move forward, I move back.
It actually makes me think of the bears in, what was that?
Sapiens.
Sapien, thank you.
Yeah, Sapiens, the caveman domino
Caveman
game.
bears. I'm going to place this. So the bears were used to block, so people couldn't put down tiles in whatever place that the bear was. And so the option was to either put a bear out or take a bear away. And so you put the bear out, and then nothing happens.
And then someone takes their turn.
They take it away.
Removes the bear from there.
And it's just like this. It was obnoxious. We didn't like it, especially in a 2-player. We didn't like it.
Nope. But Cities of Splendor, or Splendor in general, works very well with 2 players. This is... Here's the thing. This is maybe weird sounding, but I'm not wild about Splendor. I think it's a good game. I think that it lacks legs for me to want to play it as much as some people do. But the expansion modules, right? So disregarding the one that we haven't played with, the other three change up the game enough that I want to keep playing it, keep coming back to it. And so we can play it like 3 games back to back until Wendy loses all 3, and then we move on to something else. That was a rough night for her.
It's been a month of triple games. No, so I really like, I think it's called the Foreign Markets expansion part of it or something like that.
The Orient, I believe.
The Orient. But anyways, there's additional cards that you can get that have extra special power boost kind of things. And I like those. I think that's my favorite out of the 3.
My favorite has got to be the Trading Post, which is an extra little, like a small little sideboard. And once you hit certain achievements, like you have 3 green cards and 1 white card or whatever, then you put a power-up token on there, and you get this special power for the rest of the game. When you draw 2 chips in the same color, you can also get a third one of a different color, or just like unique powers that I can earn over the course of the game that maybe Wendy doesn't, but maybe she gets special powers that I don't, and I love that in games. And so putting that into Splendor makes me like so excited, like, oh, cool. That's one of the things I think Splendor liked from the beginning that I was kind of hoping. So... It's so cool. I love the Orient Market. I like the cities, the alternate end conditions. So this is solid, really solid expansion.
It is, it is. And if you look at our table, these are other games we played this month. We didn't want to go over everything in detail. But Go Nuts for Donuts, Fugitive, Barren Park. We have not yet played Pandemic Legacy.
We have not.
Beautiful thing here.
This is a highlight. We found this on sale for $40 at Meepleville, our board game cafe.
You mean you stole it for $40?
I hope the owner of the store is not watching. No, they were having it was just like a flash sale. I just happened to go in to play some games with some buddies that night, blow off some steam after a 12-and-a-half-hour day of work. And as I was leaving, they had a little sign that said, like, flash sale, Pandemic Legacy, half off. And I was like, okay.
Jinx, you owe me a kiss.
Oh, man. So I was like, duh. So we're going to start this up once I'm done with my busy season at work, as you can imagine. Our friends who played Pandemic Legacy Season 1 with us
are actually excited.
They're actually excited. All 4 of us were super burnt out with Pandemic. Like, once we were done with it, we're like, I don't want to see Pandemic again, otherwise I might just vomit.
But luckily it's been a whole year, right?
Been a year, and they were like, we were actually thinking maybe we could like try something like that again. And Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is going to have different mechanisms. It's not Pandemic with like a little bit of change each time. It starts off like differently, so way excited about that. And
you know what? It's been 2 years.
Has it been?
Yeah. You were just finishing up school.
It's coming up closer on 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
So one of the things that we've really tried, like the reason that we have some of these games set up, as Wendy pointed out earlier, like one of the things we're really trying to do is we play a lot of games to review them. We play a lot of new games. And something that we want to try and do is play some of our like well-loved, cherished games again. That way gaming feels less like work for us. We sit there and be like, oh yeah, we love all these games that we have, and we can kind of take a break from that like work of playing new games all the time. And it just prevents some of that board game burnout or board game fatigue that some people talk about. So we've been trying to do that, especially as we've been fatigued for other reasons.
Yeah, it's been nice just not feeling like I have to relearn rules all the time, because I think that's the biggest fatigue on me, is learning a new rule, playing it once or twice, and feeling like I'm just finally understanding it.
Oh,
and
remember
getting
that
a groove.
When this happens, you do that.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to remember all those minute
just the
rules.
nuances of it and stuff, and then we don't play it again. Ever, or like a year later. Like, it just, So I like being able to pull something out and play it and be like, oh yeah, I remember this, and I remember that I liked it, and so it's
playing Dominion a few times with Wendy's mom was another, just, that's so cool. My favorite game. So it's been a good month despite how hectic and everything it's been. Maybe next month or starting in March we'll be busting this guy out.
Some
Pandemic
point
Legacy.
soon.
So
we hope.
So what else is exciting looking forward then? Patreon is starting. We're going to be starting that at the end of February, like we mentioned earlier. And
And then SaltCon, we're actually going up, and we're going to be staying with some friends up there in Utah the end of this month. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, first convention of the year for us. I mean, and probably we're just going to go to like 2 conventions. And we're really excited. There's a lot of people that are going to SaltCon. And if you're going to be there, then
say hi.
Then say hi. Shoot us a line. And maybe we'll try and meet for a game or something, right? And yeah, so I'm excited for what is going to be coming up. We're about to release our 52nd episode, or 1 year of anniversary of the podcast. We have a couple of cool new guests lined up. And so, I don't know, I think things are looking bright. Things are looking forward. My work schedule is going to slow down quite a bit to like a normal human level again. So.
And yeah, I think we're going to have a great month this month. And we are excited for you guys to participate in our Patreon. Every little bit does help. And yeah, look forward to more of these videos, especially if you contribute.
If you have questions or anything that you want to ask us, and then this is a great place for us to answer some of those. Or if you have things that you want to yell at us, this is a great place where we're going to cry about those.
If you have brands of ketchup that you think are must tastes, then we may taste them on here.
That's a great idea. Yeah. If you have awesome ketchups like Chipotle ketchups and barbecue sauce ketchups, which is just barbecue sauce, but yeah, if you want to send us barbecue sauce, we don't mind either. But
so, what is it? It is Red Robin has a ketchup that is it's got like sweet and sour sauce in it, I think.
That one's weird. That one's not my favorite.
It's interesting. And then we had this, like, I think it was a Chipotle ketchup or something at this burger joint that was only around for a couple months here in town. And that one was good. It was like ketchup with Chipotle seasoning in it.
If you're at Red Robin, get the campfire sauce. That's like...
It's barbecue sauce and mayo. That's what the lady told us, the server.
It's so good.
It's good. In fact, I think I consume more of that than I consume of fries. Like, the fries are literally just a transporter system to get more campfire sauce in my mouth.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think that's the perfect place to end. French fries are a vessel for amazing sauces. Or just, French fries are awesome. We're actually going to go on a tour de fries with some friends. It's going to be
Oh, we are! That's an exciting thing.
We're going to be on a mile... That's something we're looking forward to this month. We're going to go on a 1.5 mile fun walk and just hit up every French fry place on one of our major streets here in town.
So that will also probably be on our next episode of Ketchup.
The highlights of the month, the Monthly Ketchup.
Yeah, I think so. So, this is Meeple Overboard. Thanks for watching.